Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about spiritual GPS. How can I locate where I am on the spiritual map? Presumably, I'm somewhere on it, so that I know how to take my best steps. Um, I want to start out with a quote from Bala Sulam, who tells us, I want to answer this question kind of just right off the bat with this quote, and then we'll explore it. We'll explore it more. So Bala Sulam says, because we want to know where we are, right? Where is our reality? What is its location? How can we move to a better reality? If I were in some very perilous, bad situation, let's say I'm in a cobalt mine in the Belgian Congo under some kind of slave labor that they have going on there right now. And I suddenly learned somehow through some letter that I am about to inherit a few $1 billion. How would I feel all of a sudden in this moment? Just this knowledge, I think you can agree, would totally change my perspective. It's our psychology that causes us to feel we have a heavy heart, depression, that even that things are hard to do, that I barely have the strength to do them. But we also have stories, and these aren't just like, fabrications. These are like true stories where a person is able to all of a sudden lift, something 10 times the amount that they would be able to lift. There are actually three, I think, documented examples where a person is able to lift a car. There was one where a daughter helped lift a car or by herself lift a car off her dad who had been trapped underneath it. And there's a few examples of this. A mother who needs to save her child is somehow able to lift, say, what would probably be, like 1,000 pounds. And so she suddenly finds the strength to do this. So I'm saying this because our sense of weakness or depression or lack of strength or lack of happiness, and which of course translates into all of the ill health effects as well that become actually biological, they're all a product of our psychology. Our whole reality is psychology. And the spiritual reality that Kabbalists talk about is arrived at not like up on a mountaintop or after you die. It's arrived at through this psychological world in which we exist. I'm in right now ordinary psychological processes, but there are also more spiritual psychological processes that I can graduate to. So where are we? Spiritual GPS wise, where are we found right now? Well, Bala Sulam says the following, just so that we become aware of our situation. He says, there's nothing more natural than coming into contact with one's maker. Oh, I can know the creator. And that's natural? Okay, let's see how. For he has made nature. In fact, every creature has contact with his maker. As it is written, the whole earth is full of his glory, except we don't know or feel it. Actually, one who is awarded contact with him attains only the awareness. It is as though one has a treasure in his pocket and he does not know it. So this is why I said the cobalt mine, and maybe you get a letter that you inherited a great fortune all of a sudden. It's as though he has a treasure in his pocket, but he didn't know it. Along comes another and lets him know what is in his pocket. Now he has really become rich. So it could be the same person in that cobalt mine and suddenly feeling completely different. Still the harsh conditions are there, like the car that is on top of one's parent and or one's child, and all of a sudden I need the strength to lift it. And before, my work in that cobalt mine was very difficult, but if I know at the end of this shift I'm all of a sudden a billionaire, now I'm going to be a prince, I'm no longer going to be a slave but a prince. Suddenly you would feel differently, right? In the exact same situation, you're still in that cobalt mine, but just this letter makes you feel completely different. You now have a goal. It's not just another day of labor in the mines that you have ahead of you. You have a great goal. And like the child or the parent who's able to lift the car all of a sudden, which seems to defy science, seems to be a miracle. Why can they do this? Because they have a great goal. And that's actually all that we need to have endless energy. We just need a goal, we need fuel, we need hope, because again, our reality is all psychology. It's all psychology. We don't have such limitations as we think we have. We really have infinite potential. We just need to see how we can unlock it. Actually, one who is awarded contact with him, the Creator, attains only the awareness. It is as though one had a treasure in his pocket and he doesn't know it. Along comes another and lets him know what is in his pocket. Now he has really become rich. Yet there's nothing new here, no cause for excitement. In fact, nothing has been added to the actual reality. Okay, why did we say this? Because we want to know where we are. So where are we actually? This is the first thing you need if you want to figure out, where you need to go. You need to figure out where you are. Okay, I'm in the Black Forest in Germany. That's a start. Now I can figure out I'm lost. I can figure out what I need to do next. Okay, so where are we? We are in the world of Ein Sof. We are found in an endless reality, meaning an endless desire that is filled with light, and the only problem is that we don't feel it. So that's where we are. But it doesn't matter that we're actually there, because what matters is what we feel. And so we're really talking about perception of reality. So how do we come from being in the state of Ein Sof, the Garden of Eden, heaven, whatever you want to call it, it's already right here. And that's why there's nowhere to go after we die, because right here is the perfect reality. We're already swimming in this ocean of light, and all we need is the vessel to feel it. If I have a vessel, then that light becomes whatever it is that's wished for. So I need to have a wish. I need to have a desire. But I need a correct desire, one that will actually work. Like you need a correct glass to hold some wine. You need the kind of glass, not a potato sack. You need specifically a glass. So you need this type of vessel that can hold the light. And that's why the only thing to do, it can't be by dying or by anything else. The only thing to do is to form this correct vessel. And then I'll form other vessels and more vessels and discover that I'm in this endless world filled with everything that I could ever want and things that are so sublime that I don't even allow myself to want yet. I can't even dream about them yet. So how do we go from this state of unconsciously being in Ein Sof and not feeling it as such, not feeling this letter that tells me about my inheritance, because then I'll know what to do next once I get this letter. How do we go from this state to the state of awareness? Well, there's a certain pathway along which I need to go. And there's a song about this that was written by, it's ascribed to a Kabbalist named Rabbi Nachman. And let's take a look at it. So this is how it goes. I didn't want to get copyrighted, so otherwise I'd play a video, but it goes like this. Kol HaOlam Kulo, Gesher Sar Meod, Gesher Sar Meod, Gesher Sar Meod. Kol HaOlam Kulo, Gesher Sar Meod, Gesher Sar Meod. Ve'aika, ve'aika, lo lefachet klal. Okay, so it's Kol HaOlam Kulo is all the world. Gesher Sar Meod is a very narrow bridge. Okay, it's very simple lyrics, and you just chant this over and over again. And it says, and what's important about this very narrow bridge? The very narrow bridge we need to traverse and not be afraid. Okay, can you imagine being on such a bridge like this? And below you is just death. And you need to carefully go across it. And you need to be conscious all the time, right? You would focus all your energies at this point and try to save your life. And why would a Kabbalist say that the whole world is just this very narrow bridge? That's a big statement, right? The entire world, everything that I'm experiencing, my wife, my boss, my kids, people on the freeway, everything is nothing but this very narrow bridge. And he says that what's important is to not be afraid. I think I would be afraid on such a bridge, such a tightrope. But this is the advice of the Kabbalists, and it's, hopefully you felt it's kind of a very upbeat, exciting, joyful song. When you come to this realization that your whole world is just this, and there's nothing to do except to cross this bridge. Now, the biggest problem is that I, first of all, don't realize where I am. I don't realize that I'm on this very narrow bridge. And this bridge is not an external bridge, it's an internal bridge. And I'm always on it. And this is why it's very important for me to locate where I am so that I realize that I'm on this bridge. To realize this, of course, I need the Kabbalists so that they can tell me that I'm on it, and then I need to figure out what to do next. If I can traverse this bridge, then I enter the spiritual world. But what happens usually, and then the spiritual world, it's that world of Ein Sof, but at a lesser degree. But I start feeling the whole world as good. I start feeling that I am in this world of Ein Sof, because even the first spiritual degree already feels like we can't imagine Ein Sof. The first spiritual degree is already beyond, if I fantasize as much as I possibly can get ridiculously, just coming up with nonsense imagination, the first spiritual degree is much greater than that. And so it's like Ein Sof. And so there are 125 such degrees, and we get to them by traversing this very narrow bridge out of our imaginary world that, it seems really solid, but actually it's all psychological. And we can show this now with cognitive science. We can show that really the whole world is a fabrication of our consciousness, if we want to call it. That's how they usually call it. But it's not solid. The solidness is just one of the features of my imagination that I'm having, that there are some things that are liquid, some solid, and so on. So it's all actually happening in my psychology, and that's why this bridge that I need to go down is a psychological bridge. It's an internal bridge that I need to traverse. Now, the first step is to not do what my little sister used to do when we used to play this game in the 1980s when we got the Nintendo and we were so excited about this new thing that just became our whole world. And we were always playing this game called Mario Brothers. And my sister would play, but she was little, and she would, every time she would start her turn, she would just fall off the same cliff because she didn't know that there was a danger there. So she would fall off the same cliff over and over again and die over and over again. She would never even get to the stage shown here. There was a earlier stage where all you have to do is jump. And she couldn't do it. And we're in this very situation where we're on this bridge, but we don't know that we're on it. We don't know that we're on it internally. And so we fall off of it every single time. Now, this bridge is what takes us out of our world. So we start, okay, we're in a perception called our world, which we can show it spatially, that there are more worlds that are beyond our world, but it's really all in one place. Like we said before, that we're in the world of Ein Sof. Currently, we see it as our world, which is an imagination. And if we'll follow this bridge, if it's this narrow bridge, then we'll kind of get out of this maze. So we might better describe this bridge as a maze. It's an internal maze where I need to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then I get to the world of Asiya. And then I go left, right, left, right, left, right. Oh, I have them out of order. So next comes the world of Yetzirah, and then the world of Bria, and then the world of Atzilut. And this is tricky because, again, first of all, I need to realize where I am. And it's kind of, I thought of this example, it's kind of like a game of chutes and ladders. And this is actually my teacher, Dr. Lightman's example from years ago. And this is how the Kabbalists described it, as a game of chutes and ladders where, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and here at 4, you have an opportunity to climb up a ladder. But then you go a little bit further and you can get knocked down a chute and end up back where you were. You go back a few spaces. And this is actually the best case scenario. This is already really good because this means that I am actually walking this path. I'm walking this internal bridge and I'm able to take a few steps without falling off immediately. So how do we take these steps? Here's a gun. In a gun, in a rifle, you have 3 things. You have your eye, you have the first sight here, which is number 2, and then you have the sight at the end. If you aim through these 3 things, you'll be able to hit the target. When we have the texts of Kabbalah, and you're going to see in a minute how this ties back to our spiritual GPS and how we can know where we are and realize where we are on the bridge. So when I have a text, it's written in a special language. Take the text of the Zohar. For example, here's the beginning of the Zohar. It says, just listen. Rabbi Hizkiah opened. It is said, as a rose among thorns. What does a rose represent? He answers, it is the assembly of Israel, meaning Malchut. For there is a rose, and then there is a rose, just as a rose among thorns is tinged with red and white, so does the assembly of Israel consist of judgment and mercy. So there's all kinds of different words here that are not relating to this world at all. You have rows, you have different colors, red and white. You have the assembly of Israel, which isn't talking about the state of Israel or Jews or anything else. And this is the first sight. This is the first sight in the gun. And it doesn't matter if it's the Zohar or any other text, because all Kabbalistic texts are written in more or less the same way. So they're using these words of this world. And why do they need to confuse us like that? There's a special reason for this confusion. It's not to confuse us. But they use words here in number 2. They use words like rows and colors and thorns and Israel, Moses, Jacob, Isaac, left, right, and none of it's talking about this world. The reason they do this is because they want me to make an inner translation. And if they were just to, that's why there's a benefit to having these different languages. And so Bala Sulam gives us some hints here about how to translate it, right? So he says, he answers, it is the assembly of Israel, meaning Malchut. That's what the rose is. So you see he's starting to translate. And even though he translates it into Malchut, I still need to do a further translation. I need to figure out where these things are, where they are in me. Very hard, especially to take the first step, but it's only hard because it's not in the logical, ordinary manner of learning that we reveal these things. But it's through this process. Now, what does this process do? Let's say, here's me. I am the one looking at the text. And then in the text, I'm seeing things from our world. And then I'm translating it in me to things that exist somewhere inside of me. Because actually all these things exist in me. It's really the blueprint of the soul, the Zohar, and all the Kabbalistic texts. They're just telling me about myself, the deep internal part of myself. The part of myself that after this body gets eaten by worms in the ground, the part that still exists, but which I have to realize. And if I don't realize it during this life, then I'll be in this life again, because this is the perfect world where I have imaginations and I have to decode this world and turn it into internal properties. And there's no better place than the world we're in. And that's why there's nowhere to go after this life, nowhere else. We're in the perfect place. We have this job in front of us. We have this narrow bridge. And on this internal narrow bridge, we reach the spiritual world. So we hear these words, and then we look for them. Okay, you can't give a 1, 2, 3 process that's more clear than that, actually. And this is true education, right? When you have the child actually search for the answer themselves, this is really what you need to do. Because when you're doing this, you're evoking, you're kind of feeling your way into the truth. We said we're already in the world of Ein Sof, right? The only thing is it's not illuminated for me. I don't realize that I'm here. Now, I don't mean that you'll see the same crappy cobalt mine where you're a slave and you'll say, oh, but master is good. You won't look at the same crummy reality and, just justify it. And then now you're in the world of Ensof. No, the world of Ensof is truly heaven. It's truly being filled with all the abundance that a good creator, if he was really good and gave us all that we could possibly dream of, and he invents even more dreams for us to want and fulfill us with. So in short, it has to be really good. So don't think that you're already an Ein Sof, even though you don't feel that way. So being an Ein Sof means really feeling the Creator's goodness and that he gave us this gift. And that is really what we're seeing around us. We're basically seeing a gift from the Creator. And that, again, is why we can't go somewhere else after we die. Because we're already kind of this baby. If you've ever been to a first birthday party, the baby is sitting there kind of bewildered, like they've just been placed on the throne of a very confusing kingdom. And, all the partygoers are surrounding them, and the baby kind of doesn't know, like, why they've been anointed as king of this kingdom and why these gifts are being presented to them. And, if the parents don't intervene, the baby will just kind of poke at the gifts a little bit before losing interest altogether. This is kind of how we relate to our world and this gift that we got from the Creator. We don't recognize that it's a gift. We don't know what's expected of us. And we have, actually, the baby has a superpower, and we have a superpower. In the baby's case, it's to basically cause the party to erupt in joy. How can the baby do this? It's by, tearing a little bit at the present, opening it up, and smiling at what's inside. And our gift is the reality before us. We need to realize it. We need to see, how can we open this present from the Creator? Well, the way we tear open the wrapping paper, which is also part of the gift, right? When you get a gift, you don't want someone to just throw at you, like, here's your shirt, here's your gift card. You also want to get like the wrapping and open it. So the Creator's gift to us is also this wrapping paper. So that's what we're seeing in all the planets, the chimpanzees, the people, the trees. Everything before us is this gift, and we're this birthday baby that's supposed to open up this gift. For us, that is unfurling the inner modalities by which we relate to all of these things. And once we do this, of course, we'll bring great joy to those proverbial partygoers, the Creator, who, like the giddy, expectant partygoers, is just waiting for the baby to open up the gift. So too, the upper world, the Creator, the force of bestowal, who wants to bestow as ravenously as we want to receive, is expectantly waiting for us to do these internal moves. And, it's kind of endless to talk about why, and could it have been done differently? Why did he make it this way? Why did he have to wrap it in this? Why couldn't he just give us our gift? Why can't I just already be enjoying the Barbie doll or whatever the gift, the Lego set? Just put it in my hands and let it be there. No, it needed to be in a gift format. Why would they need to do that? Well, we'll talk about that, but how I unwrap this gift is this process that's described here. This is actually an example from Baal HaSulam, the great Kabbalist Baal HaSulam. He said, aiming at the goal is aiming through a rifle, because you have these different sights. So whether you're reading the writings of Rabash or the writings of Bala Sulam or the Ari or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar, it's always going to be a situation where the Kabbalah seems to be talking in words of my world, and I can absorb it the way that people absorb other holy writings, where I think it's about this world and it's talking to me about history. And that just misses the big opportunity that I have to do the inner work. And it's not a knowledge thing. This is where ChatGPT is not going to be able to help you. It's really the inner turning of myself on the inside, because it's only the way that I'm calibrated that causes me not to feel myself in Ein Sof, and to dream all of these bad dreams that I'm in this cobalt mine and I'm a slave there, and I'll be a slave there for the rest of my life. This is what my life is like, more or less, even if I'm not in the actual Congo. Basically, everyone's in this system of slavery. And that's really where we are. And it will only be revealed more and more. And the way that I can get out of this is I can't die. The only way is to tune myself inside. Like you need to triangulate a bit when you're looking through this site, and then you're looking through this site, and then you're looking at the target. So you need to see through all of these. And the only way is to look into the writings of the Kabbalists, where they talk to me about a rose and right and left and Jacob and Moses and all these things. And I say that these have nothing to do with this world. They don't tell me any history. They are signs for things that are inside of me. And the fact that I don't identify them right away, that's okay, because I am already in this world of Ein Sof, where it's like your leg went to sleep. If you sit on it a little bit, you sit on it too long, then it falls asleep and you can't move it. Well, you start moving a little bit. It doesn't even really matter what direction you move. You move a little bit, it starts waking up, and you start gaining what you already really have, which is the leg. But it's as if you didn't have a leg for a minute, right? If you stood up on two legs that were asleep, you'd fall down. So here too, you awaken the parts of your soul that are really surrounding you and attached to you much more than this body that you feel, which really turns out to just die and not be even you. It was something that you temporarily over-identified with and thought that that was you, and preened and cared for it for 70 years. I'll work out, I'll eat this, I'll drink that, all to give it pleasure, and then that turns out to not be you. The real you is much bigger, much more qualitative, has more vessels, meaning we're very limited in what we can even enjoy in this 70 years. Even if we get that cobalt mine letter and find out we're billionaires, you discover that this body is very limited in what it can actually receive. It can't just enjoy all that much. So there is a bigger you with more vessels, more ability, more perception, more feeling, and that's the real you. And so when I'm reading about it, I'm reading about the real me. Just the movement in that direction, like the sleeping leg, this leg that fell asleep, just move it kind of in some direction. It doesn't even matter that it's like the real right direction. Already wakens it up. So you don't need to be real smart here. It's actually easy. It's easier than you think. So it's by, again, it's by reading in the texts of Kabbalists, and we'll read a bit from the Zohar, just a little taste to illustrate what we're talking about. So we read a little bit in the text, and then we translate it. And I keep saying the same thing again, because until this actually enters one's ear, then you'll see how easy this actually is. I don't feel these things. Zaranpin, Malchut, Egypt, Israel. I don't feel these things, but just by playing in this direction, I really am in that reality. It's describing the true reality, the Ein Sof that I'm in. And so I can awaken my leg that fell asleep. I can awaken these other organs. And then I will start feeling them a little bit. First, darkly, meaning first I'm in the dark, but I can kind of feel my way around. Like you see a friend that you know, but it's from the back. You're not quite sure it's them. And so it's not fully clear, and then it will become more clear. So in this way, you'll start to identify these characters inside of you. Why is this important for our topic? Because we said that the whole problem is that I'm on this bridge. Now, let's get into more what is the bridge actually. So it's not just a bridge. It's a bridge in the sense that it's really easy to die here. It's really easy to fall off, like Mario here is going to fall into this hole if he doesn't know what to do. And he would have gotten killed by this little turtle, is it? He would have gotten killed by the turtle if he didn't know it was there. And so if I'm traversing this bridge and I'm coming towards some quality, some internal quality of mine that can kill me, can throw me off of the spiritual path, can cause me to fall into the hole, if I don't identify it, then it's a problem. Big problem. Then it's guaranteed that I'm going to fall, right? There's no chance. And so the first thing that I need to do is start identifying these properties inside of me. That's what the Kabbalists describe in all of their books, in the Torah, in the Zohar. All of these, evil characters, they're actually helpers, because we'll say why in a minute, but these bad, evil, these people, monsters, whatever it is, giants, they're inner qualities that I need to know about that can come to thwart me from my spiritual path, which I always need to be walking inside. I always need to be walking this path. Let's say I don't even know I'm walking this path, then I'm definitely dead. Then I'm definitely doing what my sister used to do, which is just fall off the cliff every single time. She didn't know what she needed to do. She didn't know she's supposed to jump. She's supposed to do something there. So this is how we usually are, that we don't realize that we're on a path. We don't know that there are qualities in us that come to obstruct this path. And so that's why we need this. That's why we need the books of Kabbalists, because in this translation from things that are describing seemingly our world, I see them in the book, and then I internally translate them to where are these properties in me. So even though I'm totally confused and don't know how to do that, what I'm doing in the process is turning a light on inside me. Where is inside me? I don't know. It's not in here, in my lungs, in my heart. I don't know where it is, but let's say there's something called inside you that is fully dark right now, like in a black point. And that's why you don't identify these characters, but they are coming, and you're just getting thrown off the path at the very, 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 very beginning of it. The preparation stage before the preparation, That's where usually a person is getting thrown off. That's why he doesn't feel like he's in an adventure. He doesn't feel like he's on this perilous bridge. So as I do this translation, at the end of the day, I start turning very gradually this light switch with a dimmer on it. And then I start to reveal on the lowest level of dimness, I start to reveal that at least there's something. At least there are such characters inside me that the books of Kabbalah help me to start identifying, and then they just grow in clarity. So then you truly start to live this adventure where you have details, right? Not just some dark figure there that's maybe in your way or not, but you start having specific characters: Bilam, Bilak, Pharaoh, Amalek, and you'll learn what to do in relation to this one and to that one. And then you truly feel yourself on this bridge, that it's very narrow and you have to do the right thing in each moment. You need this spiritual GPS to know where you are and to identify all of the shady characters that you'll encounter along the way. Let's read a bit from the Zohar. Just a couple of lines. And I just picked something random. Which is being shown to you? You is the mirror that does not shine. Malchut, which showed him within her all those forms. And Moses saw each of them in its corrected form, as one who sees within a crystal lamp, within a mirror that shows all the forms. And when Moses looked into them, he found them perplexing, since there, in Malchut, everything stood in its spiritual form, but each form equalized its form to the imaginary form in this world, in the tabernacle. Okay, now I remember why I chose this one, because it talks about exactly this. It talks about the fact that you have spiritual forms, and we can talk about them by their imaginary form that we feel in our world. We do the inner translation and we come to the true form. It follows that two forms were apparent in everything, the spiritual one and the imaginary one. This is why Moses was bewildered. He did not know which of them to grasp. See, this is like us too, right? When we read the book of Zohar, for example, we're kind of vacillating. Like, do I interpret it as history? It's very difficult not to interpret it as a story, because it's describing so well all kinds of things in our world. And Bala Sulam helps us a little bit here because this is Bala Sulam's version of the Zohar. It has his commentary interspersed here. So the original didn't say Malchut, for example. Bala Sulam translated it a little bit to help us not materialize these things and do this job of translation. Because in the translation itself, that's how we achieve actually the goal of creation. So the goal of all the gifts that the Creator is giving to us, all of the abundance, all of the pleasure that's waiting for us, all of that is part of the gift. And the wrapping paper that we're talking about here around the gift is also part of the gift. And the adventure that you're on right now, where you're a bit confused and you're not sure you're just beginning this journey, that's also a part of the gift. And the true gift, though, is all of the pleasures that could ever be, that have ever been experienced by human beings and ever will be, all of those pleasures squared. That's what the actual gift is. It's all of those pleasures squared. How do we get to that? It's actually by us becoming the navigator on this journey. It's by us becoming the nexus between these two worlds, the upper world and our world, the corporeal world and the spiritual world. That's why you have this sort of job of translation, because this can't just be given to you, because it's what you become through this process that is actually the gift. So there seem to be a lot of different things around this gift, where like the baby at the birthday party, there's a whole bunch of fanfare and balloons and presents and everything. But really, the goal of it all isn't the gift, right? The goal is the connection between the baby and the family. That's really why there's something to open here, and this whole shebang is because of this connection. And that's what we create, and that's actually our gift. So that's why on this process of locating where you are and locating these characters within you, it requires effort, because it requires an inner turning to a new frequency. You're on the radio frequency of this world. If you tune yourself a little bit, you'll experience a different reality. It's like right now there's all kinds of music in the air. You could hear all the song playing if you had a radio. There are all kinds of waves passing through that are carrying the most beautiful music in the world right now. But you need this dial, you need this tuner, and you need this device that can catch the frequency, and then it will be all around you. So too with the world of Ein Sof. It's revealed simply by tuning ourselves on the inside. And similarly, if we just start in this direction, with old style radios, you could kind of be almost on the right station and hear a little bit of the music kind of, glistening through the static like fireflies against the night. You could sort of like start to hear a little bit of it. So too with the process we're describing here. So as you start doing this inner work, as you read the texts of Kabbalah, as you study the wisdom of Kabbalah, you'll start to feel it more and more, like the radio station that starts to come through. And that's why before you even have proof of what the Kabbalists write, which obviously you need to eventually come to, because otherwise it's just a religion. It's only a science if you can actually reveal it yourself. So you'll need to. But before that, you can already start to feel this. You're going to start to sense the song playing. It's staticky, and that static is manifesting as real things in your life, right? So life doesn't look so good, but every once in a while there's like a little glimmer of hope. And then sometimes there's even a glimmer of spiritual hope, where you feel that, oh, there's also something higher than this whole world, and you feel like running towards that. So this is what happens as we do this process of translating the books of Kabbalah into the internal processes inside of us, into internal characters. And let's see if you have any questions. I'm going to go look at the chat here and see. We'll have an exclusive Q&A session for KabU students, but I want to answer any questions that are kind of ready right now. Okay, Reality Expansion Vault. How's it going? So you're asking, is it fake until you make it kind of a thing? Our reality is fake. It's an imagination. It's the wrapping for the gift. The real reality is the gift inside. And the gift is clothed in all kinds of different wrapping papers. So it comes as my wife, as my boss, as some politicians, as all kinds of events happening. And if I unwrap it, I'll see that that was just the wrapping paper. That was just an interesting wrapping paper that they designed for me. And so it's not the real thing. And like with the present, once we open it up, we just throw the wrapping paper away. That's how important our world is. So it's very important for the conveyance. You know, some would say the box is the most important thing when you give a gift. So it's very important for the conveyance, super important. Don't just give me a gift card for my birthday. You got to give me, you know, think it out, wrap it, make it nice, present it with love. But after that, we just throw it in the garbage after it's served its purpose. So thank you for the question. What else? Okay, Cointa, hello again. And Cointa's asking, does my spiritual GPS locate where like-minded people are? Well, I'll just keep going with this analogy. One of the things with the wrapping paper over the gift, which is my reality, is that I don't know what's what. And not everything is equal. Not all people are equal. I would have not wanted to hear this because I just kind of like the science of things and not the socializing of things. I'm good with just a book, and you can put me in prison as long as I have my books around me. I don't need anything or anyone. But spirituality, unfortunately for me, doesn't work that way. You have to, there is something to being in contact with others. This is why instead of just throwing our Kabbalah books out to the world, or just doing YouTube videos, we have KabU. We have live lessons that are more interactive than this, where, like it or not, in this imaginary world, some of the presents are special ones that, even though they're coming to me as with this particular wrapping as human beings, there are ones that share my spiritual inclination. And you don't always have that spiritual inclination, right? Not throughout the day, not in every moment of your day, but every moment of your day, you are still, hold on, you are still on this bridge every single moment of the day. Meaning, in the best case scenario, there are lots of moments, lots of seconds throughout the day where I'm not doing the only thing that there is to do in this world, the only reason that I'm here. The rest of it is just, you know, the entertainment on the airplane. You know, that's not really, you didn't go to the airplane to watch a movie. You went to get somewhere. And this world, everything besides thinking about the goal and striving with all your heart and soul towards the spiritual goal is just entertainment on the plane. It's extra. It's the wrapping paper. We throw it away afterwards. But there are some people, those with the spiritual inclination, that when we connect with them, and what does it mean to connect? Well, let me finish my sentence first. When we connect with them, we are actually coming closer to the spiritual goal. We are turning this light that is inside of us, this dimmer switch that allows us to eventually realize that the whole Torah is inside of us, that all of these characters are inside me, and I can start to feel who's standing before me on this internal bridge that I need to walk on, and knowing what to do. Do I move backwards? Do I move forwards? Do I need to do something else? Is there a certain passcode to get past this particular character that I need to enter on the safe? Like in Goonies, where they had to play on the piano of bones, they had to play a certain song or everything would come crashing down. And if they played the correct song, then the whole wall would open up and reveal the treasure. So I need to know what to do on this bridge. I can turn the light on a little more so that I'll know what to do a little bit more when I read a text, as we described with the gun analogy, or there's one other way, when I'm in connection with others who have the spiritual desire. What does it mean to be connected? It's actually not that complicated. Yes, it's a whole science, we can detail it, but really it's a lot more like the analogy of waking up your sleeping leg. So it's not super hard. It's about, and a lot of the problem is just kind of accepting that this is the way Kabbalah works. There is an upper light. It's called the surrounding light, the Or Makif, and it surrounds you and it behaves according to your desires. So when you awaken desires that are a little more spiritual, and you can do this through the contact with other people, it doesn't even matter who. It's whoever got that awakening that brought you to Kabbalah. Just coming into slight contact, and like with the sleeping leg, you just move it around, right, wrong, it doesn't really matter, but coming into a bit of contact, and you can increase, you can do this even more intelligently, and Kabbalists tell us how to do that, so that the effect is more qualitative and you advance much faster. It's possible to do. You can connect in more qualitative ways that also awaken your spiritual desires more and enable you to move forward on the spiritual path much more quickly. Okay. There's a lot more questions, but we're kind of at the end here. So we're going to wrap up with this. I guess what I want to leave you with is that the spiritual world exists inside you. All of the characters it describes exist inside you, and you need to get to know them. You get to know them through the books of Kabbalah. And then you'll discover that everything written about in Kabbalah is not something that is there on the page. It's your internal world, and we just need to open it up. That's what Kabbalah is. It's opening up your internal world and discovering that really you're the center of creation. And all you need to do is shift yourself a little bit on the inside, and you reveal everything. And everyone can do this, just like the great Kabbalists. So they attained it first, but everyone actually needs to attain all that they did. And it's possible for everyone, and everyone actually has to do it eventually. Thanks for joining us on Kabbalah Explained Simply, and we'll see you next time. And I'll see you in the special Q&A if you're joining us as a KabU student. Bye, everyone.